is Spitzer. What I'm here to fulfill today is the role of the worship associate. I'm a member of the congregation, and there are a number of us that choose to stand before you and present the service. You will notice right away that Reverend Amy is not here today to lead the service. It's an unusual service today in terms of my experience of reading through the worship notes that Kathy Avery prepares. I'll give you a small introduction to the nature of today's service. We know to dial 911 for emergencies. Two decades plus ago, 9/11 took on a different meaning besides just a number. The history of world-changing destruction of lives continues today, but for some reason, what came to my mind was Pearl Harbor, Hiroshima, and Nagasaki. Perhaps those are generational memories. So today, our service will be some traditional singing, just to keep the familiarity present. There will be videos, and I'd like to just say thank you all for entering these doors to create a sense of community for ourselves. At this time, we thank you for silencing interruptive electronics. I find that I need that announcement often, in spite of the best of intentions. I think first let's go with a specific announcement that Kathy wishes to share with us.
We can take a look at this wish list as well. The wish list has been updated. We have a few things that are being partially funded at this point in time, and we have a few things that need a little more funding. So if you would like, you can head over to our website and donate to any of those wish list items. Now that is actually not what I came up here for, but I remembered that. We've been having some increase in COVID cases, and in that we have had at least one case in our congregation that happened after last week's service. According to our congregant, this was the only social interaction that they had had during the week. And so for a while, we're going to pause our postlude, being the hand holding and getting together. So for a few weeks, until COVID kind of calms down, our postlude will be something that Lisa placed for us. If you feel sick, please refrain from coming to the church or wear a mask. Make sure that you've already had any COVID updates that you have. There's a new one coming out, I found out, a new variant that will be available October, thank you. I knew it was coming up soon, so if you need any of those, you might want to check into that as well. So we're just trying to really insulate our congregation here. We have many people who are high risk, and we would like to keep you all as healthy and happy as possible. Thank you.
Bear with me. The nature of this service, I made some changes, which I'm permitted to do, and I just want to scan to make sure I'm not ignoring something that I need to read to you. Lisa.
I'll begin with the Nocturne by Ottorino Respighi.
This is the chalice lighting. This is a poem called Missing Persons by Michael Brett. There are no roses at the end, no raised glasses, no speeches, as a missing person makes the world lighter, leaves everyone with a kind of debt. A name that has no one floats away, like a dropped holiday photograph of no one waving from lost blue seas. A ghost's bedroom is guarded like a prince's by mothers, wives, and soldier ranks of empty suits and empty shoes. A ghost has an answering machine, but no one home. The parabolas of jets and bombs lead to a new geological age, to fossil lives. They leave no place, no center for love to go. Love can just catch trains of half-remembered conversations that lead only to pictures of a ghost. Firemen, soldiers, the inquiring spades that probe as shrapnel, police dogs. These are guests at a kind of wedding where ghost and man fuse. Behind police line, don't cross tapes. A policewoman with a wallet blots out the sun. I see some new faces among us this morning. It assists us in meeting you, to hear your name and where you live. Please, if you feel like introducing yourself, a microphone will be brought to you. Otherwise, we'll just smile at you.
Hi, Mary Maldonado. I'm newly arrived at Village on the Isle 3 weeks yesterday, and this is my first time in this congregation. I'm a member in 10 years plus at the UU on Sarasota, on Fruitville. So, nice to see you all.
Welcome, Mary. We'll all have a chance to welcome her in person later.
Hello, my name is Dave Matheny. Hello, my name is Dave Matheny. I am just visiting. I'm driving around Florida looking to buy a home. I've been a Unitarian all my life, and Sunday morning I looked you up and thought, it's only 10 minutes away, I'll come and visit. So thank you for having me.
Welcome, Dave. Yeah, all right. We're going to lift our voices in singing. We will sing hymn number 361. Believe it or not, there are 5 verses, but they all kind of go quickly. If you want to, the words will be projected, but if you want to sing, as my husband John does, a bass, there might be some harmony on page 361. Open your ears to the song. to shift to a video for the children's time. We're going to take a pause for the lights to go down.
Branches of Hope, the 9/11 Survivor Tree. Written by Anne McGee and illustrated by Nicole Wong. Bright sun streamed down onto the busy New York City streets, and the tree basked in the warmth. Until something unthinkable happened. The sky roared and exploded. Fire rained down, down, down. Sidewalks rumbled, buildings crumbled. Great black clouds billowed all around the tree. Silence. Then sirens wailed. Time passed slowly. Buried in darkness, the tree reached up, longing for the light. Weeks later, a rescue worker spotted something green among the ashes, a sign of ongoing life. The tree dug its roots deep into rich soil again. Burned bark, like scars, covered the tree. Winter came, and the tree slept. Thousands of volunteers and city workers dug through debris, day after day, month after month, at the tree's old home. It was known as Ground Zero. People all around the world lit candles and prayed for peace. Season after season, the tree grew. Each spring arrived with warm whispers and healing rain. The tree breathed. White star-like flowers adorned its branches again. Leaders planned memorials for those who lost their lives. Families went to baseball games and celebrated birthdays. In summer, the tree revealed a dense canopy of leaves. Birds built nests. The tree grew taller, smooth bark emerging from the rough. Workers constructed a museum and planted new trees in rows, like soldiers. People hung American flags and marched in parades. Cool autumn air brought other changes for the tree. Colors of sunsets gilded the tree's leaves. Bronze leaves, like flames, fell. Children chased fireflies and attended first days of school. A decade had passed, and it was time for the tree to go back home. Bright sun streamed down onto busy New York City streets. People stood shoulder to shoulder in the warmth, holding hands and remembering. Tears rained down, down, down. Voices sang loud and strong. The tree reached its branches toward the light, growing stronger every day.
I believe we have some children. We're going with Kathy and Stephanie, so we'll sing them out. This is a time for supporting the work of our UCOV. For those watching on Zoom, or for anyone who wants to go onto the UCOV site, there is a prominent donate button. But today, and also you can look online, and if you do use the organization site, it's the initials of the church, UU, United Universalist Congregation of Venice, UUCOV. Facebook page, but I guess that's Meta these days. I'm not sure, since I don't do that. We have a special collection today as we share with the offering. So let me tell you a bit about it. Second Chance, Last Opportunity, SCLO, is a community-based 501c3 grassroots organization that has been offering life management skills classes to at-risk teens and their low-income and or homeless families since 1995. Their clients often face multiple health, social, and economic challenges. There's certainly nothing unique about that. Along with strategies and skills for success gained from the classes, they offer counseling, health education, youth programs, food distributions, shelter referrals, all with a dose of tough love, if appropriate. Most importantly, they give back the responsibility for turning their lives around to the individuals they serve. UU of Sarasota and the Gulf Community Foundation are among their many sponsors. So we will now take the collection. We are now going to see a video, so I'm going to pause so lights can be reduced. This video is called The Call. Words and music by Karen Benedetto, vocals by Marianne Maringolo. The song was written by Karen, partner to our Jean Barlow. She said I didn't have to honor her, but I think it's good to know that. Vocals by Marianne Maringolo and images by Reverend Amy.
The year 2001, we were wakened from our warm and peaceful sleep. The world as we had known it would never be the same, for the pain that we had suffered was so deep. We held each other tightly and did not stop to judge the color of the hand that we were holding. We cried in every language and prayed in every faith, and some could see a new world was unfolding. From a farm in Indiana to a village in Nepal, in each synagogue and mosque and church, God listens to us all. There's a light that's ever shining that nothing can forestall. God bless us all. In one defining moment, synagogue and mosque and church, God listens to us all. There's a light that's ever shining that nothing can forestall. God bless us all. God bless us all. God bless us all. We will walk away much stronger if we listen to the call. Stand tall, stand tall. We shall not fall. Love leads us all.
I think we're all blessed. We all have many things to be grateful for. We understand that there is healing, there's rebuilding. Perhaps some of you have been to New York City to see the monuments that honor the events of 9/11. I have not. But I think there's an element in human nature that there are ways to look to optimism. We're shifting to celebrations and sorrows now. Our church is not the building, but the people. A community of human hands and human hearts. We come together here to share our laughter and our tears. We are entering into a time of sharing our joys and concerns. Please raise a hand and someone will bring you a microphone. Please share information only with permission. I was asked to make a wonderful announcement. Stephanie, who's been through the grueling demands of cancer, told me to say and share with you that her recent tests show that there's no new cancer growth and the existing areas are shrinking. So she's reached a point where I think she can honestly consider that position of optimism when she wakes up each day. If someone has a sharing, please do so.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Jean Barlow, and I have the unique and spectacular joy of being the wife of the woman who wrote that amazing anthem. And our dear friend, a New York City artist, Marianne Maringolo, sang it, and I'm grateful to Reverend Amy for doing the video for it. I've been coming to this congregation about 5 months now, and just as the song ends with the words, "Love leads us all," I just want you to know that I love being with all of you and receiving and giving the love every week. Thank you so much.
Good morning, I'm Lynn Jordan, and it's with great sorrow that I have to announce the passing of our dear friend and long-term UCOV member, Mariana Lombard.
Oh, my. Wow, sorry to hear that.
I would just like to announce that there are no booby traps in the first 3 rows of the church. You can actually sit up there.
Where is he?
I always hear from people, they don't sit up in the front seat because they want to see what's going on in the front from the back. So I thought I would just say that. That film brought tears to my eyes and memories because both of my sons were working in Manhattan that day. They were both in Midtown, and we couldn't locate our youngest son until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was such a difficult day. I happened to be in the administrative suite of the hospital that I was working in, and my assistant was off that day, so I was in the copy room where there is a big TV video set that runs through the hospital. And I was standing at the copy machine, and of course it wasn't cooperating with me, but I saw this, and I thought it was a movie that was being played in the hospital until I got a phone call from my older son, who was working in a law firm at the time, and he was trying to get a hold of his younger brother, and he couldn't reach him. I tried. I couldn't reach him. I called my husband, who was in a meeting. I don't mean to laugh about this, but he said, "I'm in a meeting." He didn't have any idea what was going on and hung up on me. So I was standing there watching this and remembering that my younger son was supposed to be going to Washington, D.C. on one of the fast speed trains that go right through that area. And that's all I could think of the whole day. But my older son left his work and walked over to his apartment. And guess where he was? He was in his apartment helping people who were walking up 9th Avenue, distraught, some of them very dirty. He was trying to help them because he just figured, I'm not going down there today, so I better make myself useful. And I'm very proud of my boys because my men, they don't like to be called boys, because they really helped out that day, and they lost firemen in their neighborhoods and et cetera. It was a tough day.
Thank you, Serena. I think every single one of us, while we were watching that, thought back to what we were doing that moment when we found out, and it doesn't get any easier.
I was just going to share that Karen was. That's okay. I was just going to share that Karen, the songwriter, was not in the city at the moment, and I was, and it was before we had a cell phone. Can you remember back to that? Yeah. We did not get cell phones, and we did, of course, after that. But there was a moment or more of wondering what was going on. I was actually at my computer, and a friend called me and said, "Did you see?"
Dale?
I think we need to remember that it wasn't just New York. There was an airplane that hit the Pentagon. I have a daughter who was working in the Pentagon on that day, and I knew that she was working where the plane hit. And it was several hours before she was able to call and say that she was all right. I had visited her in her office before, and so I knew that her location was dangerous. The man who worked at the nest next to hers was killed. There were 10 other people in the office who were badly burned. Unfortunately, she was not in the office when the plane hit. She did run the operation which reinstalled the computers for the offices of the Army Chief of Staff. You may remember that this was during the Iraq operation. And there were more than 110 computers that had to be reinstalled. Elizabeth received a special mention at the inauguration of the new Pentagon offices 1 year after the bombing. Elizabeth will be joining me the next 2 weeks in Venice. I'm very proud of her.
Yeah, I was in New York with my late husband 2 days before 9/11, and luckily we got home. And in 2016, my sister and I took a cruise that ended in New York, and we had the tickets already to go for a tour of the renovated grounds at 9/11. And I really recommend it. I was reminded of it by that children's presentation. The survivor tree is there, and we were lucky because the gentleman who took us on our tour had been at 9/11 the day of. He was a photographer from Brooklyn, caught a ride on a fire truck, came in, took lots of pictures, and in between what he does still as a photographer, he's a guide. And he told us the story of the survivor tree, which they were going to toss in the dump, and the gentleman who was masterminding all of the greenery took it up to, I think, the Bronx, where it sat reviving itself, and the plaza where it's planted, it's the oldest tree there. Everything else we were there in the fall, and it was all turning colors. It was still bright green. It's an ornamental pear, which has outlived its usual lifespan, which they said is like 23, 24 years, and they know it's at least 30 now when we were there. I highly recommend that you go and book it ahead of time and visit the site. The people who died that day are listed in plaques, but they're not listed alphabetically. They are grouped with the people with whom they died. And they have a 24-hour, 365-day terminal, video terminal. And if you know somebody, which I did, who died there, you can look that name up and it'll show you where their plaque is. And we also had tickets. There's the one building that's since been completed has a very special elevator, and it's a 2-minute ride, and you get in the elevator, and 3 of the 4 walls, not the doors, have rear projection videos. And when you get in the elevator, it shows you what that site looked like 200 years ago. And as you rise to the floors, by the time you get up to the top floor, which is 100 and something, you see exactly what you see out of the 365 view at the top of that building. It's really worth, making a special visit if you're in New York, and to make it easier, get your tickets ahead of time.
Thank you. Anybody here? No? Anybody else? Carl?
May the love, oh, sorry, Carl.
Thank you. I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but the first day we were allowed to move into our house in Venice, the way the law is, you have to, anyway, it was 9/11, and we were sitting in there And my wife's mother called and said, turn on the TV. And we saw the second plane hit and that kind of stuff. And it was very strange because I'd been to New York a lot of times, but just seeing that, and the fact that it was that day, the first day we could be in Venice, that this happened. And my wife's mother was from Pittsburgh, but somehow she got it on the TV and we saw it. But it's just something that you don't forget.
Thank you.
May the love of this community hold all who need love and concern. May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May the broken places be healed. May we never look away when we are needed. May those who are grieving be comforted. May those who are tired find rest. May those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant. This is a poem by Lucille Longday called Strangers. It's long. I don't know the man in black pants who plunged headfirst from the top of the North Tower, or the young mother trapped behind a locked door on the 87th floor. I never met the couple crushed in their final embrace and stuffed into one body bag, or the fire chief quickly buried under tons of concrete, steel, glass, and ash. Nor did I ever say hello to the blonde woman who called her husband to ask what she should tell the pilot standing beside her at the back of the plane. I never shared coffee with the 6'4" executive who said, if we're going to crash into something, let's not let it happen. Our best chance is to fight. That was another incident that day where there were hijackers on a plane who managed to interfere with the terrorists. Yet I have felt sun on their skin and tasted wine on their lips. I have run using the long muscles of their legs and felt air rush into their lungs, their hearts pumping in my chest. And they have combed my hair each morning, tasted cereal from my bowl, and held my children in their arms. At night, they have watched stars shimmer through my eyes. Now they have returned to earth and air, but I still feel them stirring inside me, walking the long corridors of my brain, searching for something irretrievable, precious, still there. There's a hymn we're going to sing together now, joining our voices and raising song. It's number 360, and you'll see the words projected. Here we have gathered. I don't think it's one that's entirely familiar, but I think the words will speak to us. We are going to together watch another video, An Untold Tale of 9/11 Resilience. In lieu of a sermon, this video is about a lesser-known story of the boat lift.
I thought I was watching a movie, Towering Inferno at first. And then I looked real close, and I noticed it was the World Trade Center. I was compelled, because I'm a type of person that can't stand by and watch other people suffer. And to me, they were suffering. They wanted to get off the island. And there was no way for them to get off the island other than the water. And I had noticed when I was watching the television, I saw a lot of the ferries going up into the slips and taking people off. I said, fine, we could do the same thing. I could take people on my boat, get in there, take them where they have to go. And that's what we did.
On the morning of September 11th, when the towers came down, millions of people ran for safety. Hundreds of thousands of them ran south to the water's edge. That's when they realized that Manhattan is indeed an island, and that they were trapped.
They were feeling helpless, and that's the worst feeling in the world. What was a person on the ground going to do? Buildings were down. There were people laying under the rubble of the building. firemen, civilians. My wife was there, and I turned around, I says, I've got to go do something. Just like that. And she looked at me, she says, what are you gonna do, you maniac? I says, I'm gonna take the amberjack up into the city and help. She says, but what if they're attacked again? I says, well, then that's something I have to live with. I says, I have to do what I have to do. I says, and nobody can stop me right now. Even if I save one person or I rescue one person, that's one person less that will suffer and die.
They were trying to evacuate Manhattan because nobody knew what was going on. You know, you didn't know if something else was going to happen. It was just a madness on one side and wanting to help people on the other side.
They were just streaming out of the buildings, and the first mode of transportation they saw was a ferry boat. That's when they knew, this is how I'm getting out of here. So they didn't even care where the boat was going.
There wasn't panic in New York in the beginning, just volume. It wasn't until the first building fell that there was panic.
You heard the building go down, but we're in the slip, so we can't see it. That's when we started letting go, and then all of a sudden, engulfed. You couldn't see anything.
People were actually jumping into the river and swimming out of Manhattan. Boats were very nearly running them over.
Wait. These people wanted out of Manhattan no matter any way they could.
Somebody wants you to go over there!
Every mode of transportation out of Manhattan was shut down. All the subways were shut. The tunnels were all closed. They closed the bridges, they closed everything immediately.
Boats, usually an afterthought in most New Yorkers' minds, were for the first time in over a century the only way in or out of Lower Manhattan.
The process actually had already started. There were some boats that were grabbing people, that people were lined up at the walls.
It's just human nature. You see people in distress on the seawall in Manhattan begging you to pick them up. You have to pick them up.
They didn't know what was going on. They seen the building getting hit with these two planes. As far as they was concerned, we were being bombed. I was wondering if they were going to come on the boat, if they had people with bombs, or if they were going to come on. We're a big orange target in the middle of that harbor. My job is to keep the boat safe, my passengers safe, my crew safe.
Everybody was in shock, running around. They didn't want to leave their families. They had loved ones running around the city.
Everybody has a baby! Nobody has it!
There was one guy ran from the apron and jumped onto the boat. He grabbed onto the metal, climbed up right next to the pilot. So I'm going out there to say something. He slides down to the next deck. So the deckhands get him and go, what are you doing? He goes, I'm jumping for my life. So, you couldn't argue with him there.
There was a small boat that was at the lower tip of Manhattan. I thought the boat was going to flip over because so many people were trying to get on. And as I looked behind, they were just 10 deep. And that's kind of what gave us the idea.
We decided that this has to get better organized and we better do it, and that's what we did.
So we decided to make the call on the radio. All available boats. This is the United States Coast Guard aboard the pilot boat in New York. Anyone want to help with the evacuation of Lower Manhattan? Report to Governor's Island.
When that call came on the radio, they were coming.
I was uncertain of who was going to respond. About 15, 20 minutes later, there were just boats all across the horizon.
Literally 100 targets converging on the lower part of Manhattan.
When we came out of that dust cloud, tugboats, I've never seen so many tugboats all at once.
It was just like a fleet of tugboats headed to Manhattan.
If it floated and it could get there, it got there. All different size, shapes, and form. And they were zooming across this border.
Ferries, private boats, party boats.
I worked on the water for 28 years. I've never seen that many boats come together at one time that fast.
one radio call, and it just came together just that fast.
Hundreds of boats converged on the city, leaving the sun-bathed harbor behind them. Dead ahead, the unknown.
That was something I won't forget. It was just low, dark, acrid, black smoke. It's like there was a big chimney in Manhattan. When we pulled into Pier 11, the dust was unbelievable.
And then out of nowhere, you just kept on seeing people coming.
They looked like zombies coming through the fog, and you knew that those were human beings.
Don't leave us. Please don't leave us here. Take us. At that point, the Coast Guard said, not how many people are you allowed, how many people can you fit?
Come on, guys. Anybody coming? Get your ass over here now! Now! Come on!
Boats started hanging. Literally would take a bed sheet off a bunk and then a can of spray paint and paint their destination on.
Some of these people never been in the water, never been on a boat before.
Housewives, workers that do windows. We had executives. And the thing that was the best, everyone helped everyone.
I want you to hold my hand. Come on board. Get inside. One at a time. Get inside.
I saw 4 businessmen lifting up an old woman with a seeing eye dog, a German Shepherd, and they lifted her up like a surfboard and passed her over the handrails.
When we would carry a load of people over, and there was somebody standing there that seen their husband or wife, you know, that made us feel even better, you know. Well, at least we got 2 back together, you know. Keep on going, you know.
The guy that works at the ferry, he's a welder. His son was on my boat. He actually came up. He thanked me.
We went back and forth all day long, carrying boatloads, as many as our boat would hold. And it's a lot of people. A lot of people.
You couldn't have planned nothing to happen that fast, that quick.
No training. This was just people doing what they had to do that day.
You forget all about what you're supposed to do, what they teach you in school, and you say, you know what? Morally, this is the right way to go, and deep down, this is what I'm gonna do.
Average people, they stepped up, and when they needed to. They showed me, you know, when the American people need to come together and pull together, they will do it.
I do feel a way honored that I was a part of it.
That was the greatest thing I ever did with my life.
The greatest day that I've ever seen in all my boating. I mean, my life on the water.
The great boat lift of 9/11 became the largest sea evacuation in history. Larger than the evacuation of Dunkirk in World War II, where 339,000 British and French soldiers were rescued over the course of 9 days. On 9/11, nearly 500,000 civilians were rescued from Manhattan by boat. It took less than 9 hours.
I believe somebody has a little hero in them. You gotta look in, and it's in there. It'll come out, if need to be.
I have one theory in life. I never want to say the word I should have. If I do it and I fail, I tried. If I do it and I succeed, better for me. And I tell my children the same thing. Never go through life saying you should have. If you want to do something, you do it.
admit, I feel I had no awareness of the boat lift. I don't know where my head was. I think they must have emphasized it. But that's a remarkable video to tell me about that. I'm thinking today of the current news, lest we not forget. Around the world, there are hurricanes, there are forest fires, there are floods, there are earthquakes, there are wars, there's gun violence. We need to bring loving kindness and goodness in everything we do. This is a long reading composed by Joy Harjo. We were dreaming on an occupied island at the furthest edge of a trembling nation when it went down. 2 towers rose up from the east island of commerce and touched the sky. Men walked on the moon. Oil was sucked dry by 2 brothers. Then it went down, swallowed by a fire dragon, by oil and fear, eaten whole. It was coming. We had been watching since the eve of the missionaries in their long and solemn clothes to see what would happen. We saw it from the kitchen window over the sink as we made coffee, cooked rice and potatoes, enough for an army. We saw it all as we changed diapers and fed the babies. We saw it through the branches of the knowledgeable tree, through the snags of stars, through the sun and storms, from our knees as we bathed and washed the floors. The conference of the birds warned us as they flew over destroyers in the harbor, parked there since the first takeover. It was by their song and talk. We knew when to rise, when to look out the window to the commotion going on, the magnetic field thrown off by grief. We heard it, the racket in every corner of the world as the hunger for war rose up in those who would steal to be president, to be king or emperor, to own the trees, stones, and everything else that moved about the earth, inside the earth and above it. We knew it was coming, tasted the winds, who gathered intelligence from each leaf and flower, from every mountain, sea, and desert, from every prayer and song all over this tiny universe, floating in the skies of infinite being. And then it was over, this world we had grown to love for its sweet grasses, for the many-colored horses and fishes, for the shimmering possibilities while dreaming. But then there were the seeds to plant and the babies who needed milk and comforting, and someone picked up a guitar or ukulele from the rubble and began to sing about the light flutter and kick beneath the skin of the earth. We felt there beneath us a warm animal, a song being born between the legs of her, a poem. I feel that perhaps we've done this, but I invite anyone again, if they have a memory or something they wish to share about 9/11 or the aftermath of the unbelievable shock. There's a microphone if anybody wishes to speak. We're going to finish with a hymn, Now Wake My Senses. Thank you all as we join our voices in song. Wake now my senses and we extinguish the chalice. This is a piece, a benediction by Stephen Dunn called Grudges. Easy for almost anything to occur. Even if we've scraped the sky, we can be rubble. For years, those men felt one way, acted another. Ground zero, is it possible to get lower? Now we have a new definition of the personal, knew almost anything could occur. It just takes a little training to blur a motive, lie low while planning the terrible. Get good at acting one way, feeling another. Yet who among us doesn't harbor a grudge or secret? So much isn't erasable, it follows that almost anything can occur. Like men ascending into the democracy of air without intending to land, the useful veil of having said one thing, meaning another. Before you know it, something's over. Suddenly someone's missing at the table. It's easy, I know it, for anything to occur when men feel one way, act another. I decided to bring something different. I felt I wanted to finish with something that I read almost every day to start my day. I want it to be healing and uplifting. The gift of each day rising out of darkness, the promise of light and the birth of new life, the dawn of new hope and a new beginning if we turn to the light. The gift of each day stirring all around us. The sights of the earth and sea and sky, forever fresh as the day we first saw them, forever new as creation's first day. Go in peace, bring peace, experience peace.